Games and play can also be given in several form, which is what we call as competitive, chance, chaos, and role play. So these are what we call as play. And of course, now with the advent of computer, play becoming part of games, right? So play actually involving something that are free. So you don't really obligated to do something in play. You just play because you want it to play. And it separates it in its own time and space. Basically, you don't have to be within a building or within a equipment. But of course, you can play by using your own imagination. And play, of course, has to have some kind of rule because you cannot play without any governance rule because you will feel unfair. And then game or play actually is uncertain because in a way you want the result to be uh, undetermined. So it encourages you to have some initiative to actually play or do something. And it's unproductive. Actually, play doesn't produce any wealth or doesn't give you any kind of new things from it. Of course, later we'll see this is becoming a new culture. And then make believe. Of course, you have to imagine. It's not something in real life. And some others classification of games and play by Chris Crawford, which is where you try to define the question of game by using either is expressive, either is involving entertainment, is it a plaything, and so on. And even based on how you see the game or play itself can make it different or diverse. So basically, game actually stimulates computing and AI field. In 70s, automaton actually that imitates intelligence have been produced, which is what we call in this picture is a Turk, the Turk, which is how to say introduced by Baron von Kemplin, I think, if not mistaken. I think Professor Ida is much more knowledgeable in this, but I try to give the fact here. So in a way, the automaton kind of imitate intelligence, try to play the chess, but actually it doesn't play intelligently. Actually, someone is controlling inside. So basically, it's kind of a hoax to actually, how to say, initiate people to create more automaton in the future. And in 1821, Charles Babbage, one of the father of computing, of computer actually, create the first mechanical computer, which called difference engine, that able to calculate basic arithmetic. And then the first instruction set was developed because later on it was produced the first programmable computer called analytic engine that allow to user to input instruction. And the first programmer in the world actually is Ada Lovelace, a woman. So the yay for woman of the world, right? So then the first automated chess player. The first automated chess player actually exists in 1910, where inventor, Spanish inventor Torres, created automaton chess player. You can see from the picture, he introduced it in the table-like manner, where it can play just certain part of the gameplay. And then in 1956, the Dartmouth Conference, which is the conference that popularized AI. And then machine learning was also popularized several years later by Arthur Lee Samuel. Levi Beth was initiated. So this Levi Beth is something that, in the chess or chess player community, try to initiate researcher or academician and even practitioner to actually be involved in development of AI player in chess. And then later on, several decades after that, strong chess machine beginning to rise, where first AI player beat human in 1997 by Deep Blue. So these are one of the how to say key milestone in AI research. And then AI outperformed human in 2016, where, as you may or may not know, AlphaGo or AlphaZero, they're able to master all, able to beat all its previous predecessor in playing board games. Then later on, first large language model exists. Of course, large language model existed before, but it became very popular at this year because of, able to produce a complete sentence and even an intellectual answer to the user. And the born of generative AI, which I don't have to cover. Professor Ida Hasegawa already covered that. Then I'll come to the next part of my talk, which is the trifecta of entertainment. So trifecta means three things, three components: games, AI, and model or modeling. So games in entertainment, games can be used as a test bed because game allow for diverse setting to be tested, and also different players can actually experience different scenario within the experiment. And then it also offer as a platform for creative endeavors. For example, if you, let's say you already have an existing game and you want to test different kind of things within the game environment, you can with little programming or no programming currently. And then game itself actually is a unique artifact made by human, and it's kind of like a literary work because it combines creative minds and cultural spirit to actually make certain game to be successful or popular. And then it's kind of like an epic poetry because you have to have some kind of logic behind the game to actually make it playable, And it's kind of like a music composition as well. It's something that, beyond physical realization, you feel satisfaction or enjoyment whenever you play the game. So AI in entertainment. So previously AI have been used for several decades in games, but why AI becoming much more popular now? Because of one is the availability of hardware and software. For example, hardware, you can have a very powerful GPU to actually process million and thousands of millions of data every second, right? And then the software like deep learning, generative AI, and so on. And then the existence of cross-media intelligence. So what cross-media here means that previously data from a camera, data from a TV, data from any devices existed that we use within our environment, right? They are not shared among each other. Now they can be transferable between smartphone, between computer, between laptop, between website, between internet, and so on. So it can be multiple cross-media intelligence existed. And then rise of big data, of course. AI previously has some problem because of the data itself are very limited. Now, big data allow for AI to be useful and efficient. And hybrid intelligence, meaning that human and machine actually interact much more in this decade compared to previous one. Because if you see our grandfather, grandmother, they don't really know how to use, smartphone, right? So for us, smartphone is common thing. We cannot live without smartphone now, I think. I don't know. Yeah. And then shift of social norm and demands. So previously, AI just a research-driven thing. Now it become an industry-driven and even society-driven. For example, you want to have smart city, smart car, and so on, right? Smartphone, right? So that's been driven by society. And of course, AI able to help us enhance evaluation and validation of functionality and performance, not only in games and other type of environment as well. And then model itself, usually model is used as an exploratory form of information. For example, we use theory, right? So usually this theory can help us to process information, kind of like we try to imitate certain condition or scenario. So this aggregate representation can use to, imitate progress or completion rate. For example, in our own research, we use spatial information. For example, like making a move or when we make a decision in playing a game. So we use spatial information. And then temporal information, for example, how we progress throughout the game, what we call as game progress model. And this actually help us to quantify or maybe estimate intangible factors or variables like feeling enjoyment, feeling satisfaction, feeling a rate of retention, and so on. And of course, by having this model in the entertainment, it helps us to characterize or enhance design and performance in games and other type of processes. So I come to the third part of my talk today, how technology, games, and career actually have a complementary benefit. So game can act as a catalyst in discovering or enhancing new knowledge or existing technology, for example. So for example, when we want to evaluate game quality, right? So we have gameplay testing. This gameplay testing research field are actually relatively new because of the capability of AI becoming much more available or cheap. And then game analytics, behavior prediction, even producing game content can use AI to diversify the content, automate the interaction between human and the player, and even enhance co-creation. So, for example, in terms of game analytics alone, there are several branches of studies being done. For example, when we analyze the gameplay telemetry, we have game behavior study, and then there are some others as well. So you can see that actually from game alone, diverse field of study can actually how to say pop up or exist. And then how game actually inspire real life careers is actually an interesting observation that I found from this when preparing this talk. There are games that emulate real life ideas, experience, situation, even skills. For example, this kind of game produce creative freedom that actually imitate real life scenario. Like if I don't know whether you're familiar with Phoenix Wright, maybe some of you do. This Phoenix Wright actually a very popular Japanese game that allow people to live kind of like a real lawyer. You have to find evidence, you have to question the witness and so on. And then you have to attend a real situation within the court itself. And other like life and death, actually quite interesting because it emulates real practical skill in medicine. You actually have to become a surgeon, kind of like behaving like a surgeon. You have to put anesthetic and you have to, how to say, what surgeon do, kind of putting people together, I think, and even give birth and so on. Very graphic game, so not recommended for unwitted mind thing. And then Sims, one of my favorite games actually. It helps you to become good in interior design. You actually can try design your own room and so on. And actually, there are some people use it to how to say make or become a real interior designer actually. And also it's kind of like managing people as well. So it helps in terms of management. And StarCraft actually is a real-time strategy game, very popular in South Korea because of it helps you to resource management, and also it kind of started the e-sport competition, meaning that instead of just becoming addictive to the game, the government of South Korea actually bring these addictive people together and compete with each other and become career out of it. So quite interesting story. And then some others like Paper Please and Flight Simulator. Paper Please is kind of like your border control. You're dealing with moral issue, meaning that you have to determine whether you want to help this person or not passing the border, and sometimes you doesn't allow them, and then they just cross and being shot down by soldier and so on. Very graphic game anyway. And Flight Simulator, there are some people that actually become real pilot from the Flight Simulator. Even the Flight Simulator, the current Flight Simulator are being used for training new pilot training. Quite interesting case. So from that example and previous section, right, do game can contribute to smart technology? So for me, I think it can, but in terms of some contextual usage. For example, in AI itself, game have used AI to automate certain behaviors, and of course, using generative AI to create prompts and answer questions and even generate content, for example. And real world smart technology actually use AI to automate monitoring and to introduce pragmatic approach in solving problem. So combination of this actually is to enhance game or even smart tech performance. And connectivity or internet and so on. Game have used internet to actually improve the reliability of their games response time and so on within multiplayer sector, and even produce a meta game environment that are actually where you manage different games together. And in smart technology, you can have actually connectivity to produce an effective forecasting and even edge computing. This actually help to optimize performance. And there are several other tool mechanisms and devices such as graphic manipulation and content generation in games. And in tech, smart tech actually is the blockchain or digital twin. All of these actually are very good in terms of helping making smart technology a reality, and combining actually help to produce the field of, for example, empathic computing, where the computation of the computer consider our emotion instead of just producing a raw or very boring output thing, for example. And then metaverse, which actually helps to bring together human and machine within a virtual environment. And of course, there are several other technology as well, like VR and AR and so on. So, for example, in our case, in our research itself, we use smart engagement or learning as part of the research study, where, for example, we try to compute the progression of one game and maybe another to actually, imitate temporal pressure or spatial pressure, so that we can actually have better experience design, what I'm calling it as an experience design. So meaning that instead of the experience become boring or uninteresting or unfair, we want it to be more competitive or challenging, or maybe try to reinforce the material or engagement of the player or even the user, and become incentive driven as well. For example, we have meta games or gacha-like games, meaning that every time you play the game, you want something, or you've been given an achievement and so on. And even produce what we call as play comfort, meaning that not only we sometimes we go out of our comfort zone, but we are still comfortable in a way to be competitive or smart in a way. And then we can also combine hybrid concept For example, using problem solving as the core, and try to improve complementary benefit, uh, introduce exploration that are firm but flexible. For example, like edutainment, meaning that we try to make education entertaining, and then try to incorporate exercise within the game itself, and even like using simulation to address certain issue, but within the limitation of heuristic. So for me, smart technology has layers, right? So if let's say we have real world environment, with, for example, healthcare, logistics, agriculture, and security, all of this will be, detected by physical sensors, right? And where these sensors will send all the data it collected from the real environment through a platform, right? So this platform will be processed by a software. So you need a software to govern it and produce the data, and AI will feed that data or eat the data, right? And produce a decision. And from there, you can produce an execution plan so that you can actually conduct a real world application back to the real world environment. So how game contribute here? For example, in software or in sensor, we can actually have empathic interface, meaning that instead of dealing with only, how to say, very harsh or how to say direct input, we can actually imply or using gesture or maybe some, uh, how to say, what they call it as a guide, I think, kind of like how we move actually tell us more, like our body language, right? Our body language tell us more compared to what we talk. So it's something like that. And then how just now I shared that experience design, right? So we can use AI to design different experience in terms of the software and also the environment. And then you can use hybrid concept to actually support or supplement the decision made by the AI when conduct creative simulation. So in the future, what are the prospects that we can expect in terms of game and smart technology? So one of the things is actually to have immersive creative scenario, so that when, for example, let's say we're addressing the problem of agriculture, so we can use simulation to actually help to imitate this scenario, and we can actually try a different scenario to address it. So it encourages us to think creatively to address the problem. And then this simulation also can be what we call a safety net, so that whenever there's some real world problem occur, right, it just occur in the simulation, and you know to address it beforehand. Then these are what we call as challenge in comfort. So you already know these are simulations. So at least you know you if the mistake happen, you know how to address it before it become a real world problem. And of course, we want it to be the experience also rewarding, because these are in a way educational experience as well, right? And then we drive the sense of achievement, because whenever we're addressing a problem within the simulation environment, right, it kind of help us to feel a sense of achievement whenever we're able to solve the problem itself. And it's also good for as a tool for job exploration. And for example, if you try to play simulation game, sometimes it helps you to actually realize your real world creativity or even your skill that you doesn't know you have, and become a real world career out of it. And then it also inspire ideas and imagination, and also excellent condition for experimenting. So in our study, we call this as game informatic, where we use mass of play, which is the challenge that we need to overcome, and the speed of play, which is reward to gain. And these are actually a complementary element that we use to drive all the other information like retention rate, motivational drive, and ability. Uh, and from there we come to acceleration of play, where the sense of thrill we can actually achieve from that, and even joy of play, which is the sense of surprise. So combining all these elements, we can actually start to have much more personalized service toward solving different kind of situation or scenario. And then, of course, like I said just now, equipped with empathic computing, we can actually have empathy-driven design, so that whenever, for example, when you design a chair, for example, it cater not only for small body size people, but also larger people, and also the strength and the material are much more sustainable or economic in a sense. And then it also support just-in-time framework, meaning that we can actually become much more efficient instead of spending more time or wasting resources to actually solve problems that are unsolvable, or focusing on problems that are too easy to solve. And then, of course, this also help dynamic visualization. For example, something that we cannot describe actually can be described in some sense, I think, not all, I think, so far. If you attend yesterday talk by Professor Ida, gravity in mind, right? So this gravity in mind still very exploratory in general. So we try to visualize as much as possible what we found from the field of engagement, enjoyment, and entertainment. So paradigm shift now here is actually from optimizing the performance into the comfort maximization, and intelligence exploitation or augmentation, and beyond, which is, we don't know, maybe 10 or 20 years later how this will evolve. So the key takeaways here actually is play and game is a culture and social construct that shape the development of technology. And the trifecta of entertainment can be a powerful tool so that it can entice innovation, especially in smart technology, I think. And smart technology and game go side by side in the future, I hope, because from just now, simulation itself can be a powerful tool. I think in Unicom itself, you use simulation kind of learning environment, right? You imitate a real world working environment, so that actually are considered as simulation by itself. So I think you can see game can as a next step in your institution, maybe. And finally, I believe that play with work equal to great accomplishment because you enjoy your work more, right? So I agree with what Arnold Joseph Toynbee said. The supreme accomplishment is to blur the line between work and play. So thank you very much. Matur suksma and hatur nuhun. Thank you.
Sami-sami. Thank you, Dr. Noor Khalid. We were amazed when you were showing the Mario Bros stuff. You still playing it?
Yeah,
Sometimes? I will challenge you to play it after this conference.
of course.
Okay, but ladies and gentlemen, we have the third keynote speakers after Dr. Khalid, Professor Dr. Lia Warlina. Actually, she's the keynote speakers who do not have to be introduced because, first of all, she's already famous. Secondly, she's part of us, part of the host. Okay, Professor Lia earned her PhD in 2007 from the IPB, Institut Pertanian Bogor at Bogor, and currently she serves as the Dean of the Faculty of Design at Unicom. She likes to travel or jalan-jalan, or in Malay, pusing-pusing. Yeah? That's why she's expert in GIS. Ladies and gentlemen, without further delay, Professor Lia Warlina. Big applause.
Good morning, everyone. Morning. Okay, I hope you are still enjoying the today workshop. So, my presentation is far from AI technology. Sorry, I'm a GIS person, but not as professional as Dr. Han Han. Dr. Han Han is GIS specialist in game, virtual reality, and so on. But I'm only the GIS person as user. So my presentation title will be Mapping of Landslide of Potential Risks Using GIS in Lembang District. This is my research with my student Denda Cahya Anggara. So for introduction, let me introduce the definition of landslide or in Indonesia, tanah longsor. In Malay, what is tanah longsor? Runtuh, runtuh ya. Not rungkad, yeah, but runtuh. So the definition of landslide is a movement of a mass of rock, debris, or earth down a slope. And also the definition, any down slope movement of soil and rock under the direct influence of gravity. So gravity is for landslide not only in gravity in mind, yeah, Professor Ida. So we have gravity here also. So as we know, the impact of landslide is, before? Okay, the impact, loss of human lives, as we know, and also destruction of property, and the important thing of is impairment of natural ecosystem. Okay, our sorry. So the area of our okay. Okay, so I am not in that thing, so I will ask the operator to give next. Okay, the first I will introduce also the area of our study is Lembang. Lembang is the area in the Greater Bandung in the north area, mostly is in agricultural land, and now change into tourism sector. And also the area is in Lembang Fault, so this is prone to landslide. Next. So why there's many landslide incident in Lembang, like in many news in 2020 and 2022. Next, the picture. Okay, so this is the picture of many landslide incident. Next. So our research objective is to identify and map the level of landslide hazard, and also to identify and map the level of vulnerability landslide, and also to identify the index of capacity, so we can create map landslide risk areas in Lembang with GIS, using GIS. Using for GIS, we use method with the formula from National Board of Disaster Management Guidelines, which is risk is equal to hazard multiplied by vulnerability and divided by capacity. So each component have factors, and we create thematic map or layers. With scoring and weighting, we will create each map for hazard, vulnerability, and capacity. First, for hazard, there are 4 parameters: slope with weight 40, land use 30, soil type 20, and annual rainfall 10% of weight. Next. And there's a vulnerability. But for vulnerability, there's 2 types, physical and social. For physical vulnerability, the parameter will be number of building density, and availability of facilities for critical situation. Okay. And for social vulnerability parameter, there are population density, sex ratio, and age structure ratio. Next. For capacity, there are 4 components: number of medical workers, number of health facilities, rules and institution in disaster management, disaster anticipation efforts. The weight is equal about 25%. Okay, now we move to result and discussion. The first map we create is for from hazard vector, slope map. Yeah, the slope map as a vector of hazard has 5 classification from very steep with score 5 to plain with score 1 with the weight equal 40. Okay. 40%. Okay, and then rainfall factors. In Lembang, there's only score 1 because from the guidelines, the rainfall less than 3,000 will be score 1 for the hazard risk, and also more than 3,000 to 4,000 score 2, and more than 4,000 will be 3. So the area here has 1 score only. Okay. Okay, the next factor for hazard is land use. There are 10 land use types, and the score from 1 to 7, the highest score is for vacant land and field crops, and the lowest score is reservoir and or lakes. The next is soil type factor for hazard components, and this is the score is also based on National Board Disaster Management Guidelines. So the score is only has 2, 4, and 5 for soil types, a certain soil type. Next. After we compile 4 maps, we calculate. So we calculate for every factor like slope, land use, soil type, and rainfall. Then we classify into low, moderate, and high class. So for the lowest is 120, and the highest is 520. And its interval equally into 3 categories: low, moderate, and high. So the map will be, next. Map will be a landslide hazard map. Sorry, there's no legend in the map, but I will give in the next table, the net table. So the low area of a landslide hazard map with green, and then moderate with yellow, and high class in red area. The low is only 1.49 kilometers square, and moderate area for hazard map 46, and high in 47 kilometers square. Okay, next we have a landslide social vulnerability with the vector of population density. From the guidelines, the score will be more than 1,000 people per kilometer square will be 3, the score, and will be high class. So the landslide social vulnerability population density tabular table, as Dr. Hanan said, that we in GIS has tabular table and also vector or raster map. So this is the tabular from the vector map. So in social vulnerability from population density, we only have moderate and high class for each village. The unit, the analysis unit in this research is villages. Okay. Next is age structure, is a vulnerable age. So the map is all are in low score. So the map will be green, all map is green because the result is in low score. So the data for ratio or sex ratio is all are in high score because from the standard or the guidelines, more than 40% will be in high score. So the map also but in the red color area. So we calculate the social vulnerability index with the weight from population density in 60%, vulnerable population 20%, and sex ratio 20%. We have 2.6 index in Desa Cibodas or Desa the other village, and only 2 village we have 2 index or 2. So this is the map. The blue one is score 2, and the purple is 2.6 index in social vulnerability map. Next. Okay. Next, we move to physical vulnerability. For physical vulnerability, we use number of building. So the number of building categorized from the low to the high, from the lowest to the highest number of building. So the interval is equally by 3. So the first one in 1 score, and the second in 2 score, and the highest is 3. The highest number of building in the area, in the village. Next. Similar to the number of building is building density. Building density is number of building divided by the area. So the number also divided by 3 classes. So the last one is facility that has in villages or in the Lembang district. There are 6 facilities, and it added from 1 to 8 facilities and accumulating for every or each villages, and similar to the others number of building, It's classified into three intervals from low to high. So this is the physical vulnerability map. They are low with green, and then yellow, and high with red color. Next. So for physical vulnerability numbers here. Next. Next again. For social and physical vulnerability, we combine. The weight for social vulnerability is 70%, and physical vulnerability is 30%. So the number or the index is combined from social vulnerability and physical vulnerability. The number or the index is from 1.8 to 1.7 to almost 3. Okay. So next. So this is the vulnerability index map. Okay. The last factor is capacity. The capacity contain medical workers, health facility, regulation, and disaster anticipation. For medical health facility, we obtain the data from Statistic Bureau from Bandung Barat Regency. So there's guidelines for medical workers less than 10, the score will be 1, and 10 to 20 score will be 2, and more than 20 score will be 3. This is similar with from medical worker and health facility. However, for regulation, the score is 3, meaning that there are regulation regarding management of disaster risk in this area. So for regulation and disaster anticipation, the score only 1 and 3. 1 for no regulation, 3 for yes, there's a regulation. So the adaptive capacity map is here with the number before from tabular data table before. Next. So from the formula before, we put into tabular data, then the risk index is here. So hazard multiplied by vulnerability and divided by adaptive capacity become risk index for each villages in Lembang districts. So this is the landslide risk map. The yellow one is low and moderate, the green with yellow, and the red color means it's high risk of landslide in Lembang district. This is the tabular data from the map. So the area from low to moderate to high for each villages shown in this table. So, jump up to the conclusion. The Lembang district is dominated by moderate risk of landslide with an area of 48.07 kilometer squares, and with high risk with the area of 36.62 kilometer square, for low risk 10.87 kilometer squares. If we see from each village, the low class in Cikidang village, the largest part of the low class, and then for moderate class risk, The largest is in Sunten Jaya village, and for the high risk in Mangunharja village. I think that's all my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Lia Warlina. Is that true? That only one medical worker in the village of Jayagiri?
That's not the number, but the score. So
The scores.
less than 10% medical workers
But it's so quite low in number.
in that village. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the village of Jayagiri is this closer village to the top of Mount of Tangkuban Perahu. And when we climb the Tangkuban Perahu, we pass the Jayagiri. I think that it's quite risky when there's only one score for the medical workers of Jayagiri. Yeah.
Data is from Statistic Bureau, so there's maybe the medical workers not live in that village, so there's
Oh,
no
yeah.
So
They live somewhere else,
they live somewhere else.
but they'll be ready when we need them.
Maybe.
Perhaps. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Lia Warlina, big applause. You do realize that through your presentation, I have been. No.